Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the, 21st day of July, 2022. Well, I hope everybody's having a good week. I guess next week we're going to be in triple digits. I saw on the weather report it's going to be like, one day it's going to be 105, one day 106. Then 102, and I don't know it's all in the hundreds next week, and I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna stay in the house, I think, with the air conditioning and try to stay cool. Go out early morning only. I don't know what else to do. It's just too hot for me. I can't take it. So anyway, if this is your first time here, welcome. I appreciate you coming by. I hope you'll click subscribe and give the video a like as well. I guess the YouTube gods want that. So anyhow, unless you didn't like it or something, then I wouldn't expect you to do that. But anyway, I hope you do. This is the second day of we do two of these a week. If you haven't been here before, we do one on Monday and one on Thursday. And so today we'll take a look at the esoteric influences from the weekly post on the blog over at Stepping Aside, and the web address there is imsteppingaside.com. You can click on show more and scroll down past the description of what I'm doing here, and you'll see some links and the web address is there as well. So, as well as where I am on social media and all of that. So anyway, so today's the 21st of July. So the 2021 gives us a 3 numerology. So we're looking at optimism, imagination, self-expression, and attention to detail. It also deals with triple aspects. So past, present, future, maiden, mother, crone, things like that. Mind, body, spirit. The rune today from the Elder Futhark is Tiwaz. Spiritual warrior within, faith, justice, the idealistic male. Oaths, sacrifice, the god Tyr, and legal matters are among the key words associated with Tiwaz. The Geomancy rune is a missio. That would be the below side of things. So meaning loss, sacrifice, hesitance, and insecurity. The acquisitio is its complement, so that would be gain. So in some ways, you can just look at that as increase versus decrease. So a missio would be decrease. If you want to look at it that way as well, and not attach any, more value, judgment-y words to it. The sun's in Cancer, the moon's in Taurus, and the planetary governance for folks working magic today is Jupiter. So your optimism typically inspires others to look to you for insight and wisdom. They appreciate your idealism and your willingness to sacrifice on behalf of others. However, because your focus seems off today, you may have difficulty taking care of your routine tasks. It could be that your energy is fluctuating, or that opposing forces are forcing you to pause somewhat to reassess your objectives, or it's that you're somewhat fixated and unable to see the overall picture, and some flexibility is necessary today. So let's go ahead and just set this aside over here and get started with the rune. Now, again, the rune will be the runes today. Both the one from the Elder Futhark and the Geomancy rune. They serve as the significators for the reading, so the overall focus, if you will. And let's take a look at what the as above side says with the Elder Futhark rune. Well, we have Yira. It's comprised of Kenaz, forward and reverse, so the light of spirit or the torch. But Yira means year. It means cycles. It can be good. It can be used as a gardening type of a rune. It's unfolding awareness, basically. If you're looking at Kenaz, you're really looking at higher awareness there, or wisdom from higher self. And you're looking at it both in terms of expressing outward and bringing it inward. So Yira is just one of those runes where you're really looking at awareness that's truly unfolding for you. So let's just set that aside, and we'll discover the Geomancy rune next. And I do that by throwing down 4 elemental runes. One side has, they're keyed to each element. And so one would be for fire, one for air, one for water, and one for earth. And I'll put them in that order. And on one side you have a single dot, which indicates an active principle, and on the other side you have 2 dots, which indicate a passive principle or influence. So we have, let's see, where's fire? So we have 2 dots for fire, 1 for air, 1 for water, and 1 for earth. So we're looking at Caput Draconis. So let me pull it here out of the bowl and show you what that looks like. Is this Caput? No, that's Kata. Well, if I can't find Caput, I'll just turn it over. We'll do it that way, but I'm going to find Caput here. Wait a minute, there it is. Okay. Now, Caput Draconis deals with the north node of the moon, the influence of that, whereas its complement, Kata, is the south node of the moon. So you're looking at, with Caput, though, you're looking at on the threshold of new beginnings. You're looking at the head of the dragon, basically. So again, new beginnings and feeling like it's that feeling you're on the precipice of something new. It's kind of, if you look at the rune Dagaz, you would have literally, you could say that you have Kata Draconis, which is the past or karma, the influence of karma or past experience on your present moment. And then you would have Caput, which is the future, basically. So you can look at that as coming to a conclusion with the past and then creating your future anew, and that would be Caput Draconis. But that's some similarity there between, if you're looking at the Elder Futhark runes. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way. So if we're looking at unfolding awareness with Yira, if we're looking at the idea of cycles with Yira, then realistically, we're in a cycle of new beginnings today with Caput Draconis, on the threshold of something new. It's that feeling of pressure or the friction within, like the rune Nathes, to manifest something. I really ought to do some kind of diagram and show that on the blog, how we can take the rune Dagaz and put other geomancy runes within it to show that experience where one period is ending and a new one is beginning. But it's that anticipation, of being on the threshold of something new, and maybe it's on the threshold of higher awareness, of something coming to an end and something beginning. So it's almost like we have a Dagaz moment here, which is another rune from the Elder Futhark, where you're literally coming to the end of one period and the beginning of another. But let's see what the cards have to say. Now, I've done some shuffling already. I'll do a little bit more. And then we'll go ahead and we'll take 3 cards. And if we need more, we'll take them. Typically, I'll do 1 more card. Sometimes I'll do 2, but it's pretty rare. Usually, we can get enough information with the 3 cards to maybe talk about, what are we on the precipice here of? What is coming our way today or in the near future that's going to be influenced by an unfolding higher awareness? Let's see what we have. Well, we have a run on Pentacles. That's one thing we have. So... and we don't have, we have 1 card from the court, but we don't have anything from the major arcana here. So we're looking at the Page of Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles, and the 7 of Pentacles. And so I think I'm going to leave them in the order that they are. Among the keywords for the Page of Pentacles, obviously study. Any page is going to be thought to be like a student, and which brings to mind the undeveloped potential of something. So we have some undeveloped potential here. That's reliable. It's dependable. He's conscientious. He has a spiritual focus, and so that's going to align really well with Yira and the idea of unfolding spiritual awareness that's going to guide us into the future with Caput Draconis. But we see him sort of poised toward and looking toward the future, rather than to the past. If he was turned the other way, it would be to the past. He's holding a coin up. And when you look at the coin, you're talking about Pentacles is about the earth element, so you're talking about your physicality and form. But realistically, if you look at it from a money standpoint, you're looking at it from maybe the standpoint of material security, and what you're going to do or what's coming your way in the future to give you some material security. But again, with the spiritual focus, where is your true material security? Is it with money, or is it with or is it with the spiritual values you basically engage with the world with, right? It's who are you in terms of higher awareness, of the soul that inhabits this body? Are you that, or are you purely driven by ego? So again, I think with the page, you're talking about reliability and dependability and conscientious attitude, and study and spiritual focus. But realistically, I think all of that stems from the spiritual focus. And you're looking at the notion of as above, so below, and you're looking and you see that with this rune as well. You see the as above, so below. So you're expressing spirit, and you're drawing spirit into you. And from there you manifest your reality, which would be the suit of Pentacles, or the earth element, which aligns and corresponds with Pentacles. So it's a very earthy reading. It's about how we essentially are going to manifest spirit into our lives, into the choices we make. Will we be service to others? Will we be service to self? Because that seems to be how things fall in terms of who we are and where our focus is. But coming to the 10 of Pentacles, you see the coins arranged in the Kabbalistic tree of life. You see an older man here. His dogs are here by his side. You can kind of see all this greenery and abundance. He's sitting in a chair. Almost like the chair, if it's a king, then it's almost like the chair merges into the archway. You see the balance here of the black and white checkerboard. Looks like a pole. You see his coat of arms up here for the family. And a man and a woman, so either his daughter and son, or son and daughter-in-law, one of the two, or maybe they're not married. I'm just assuming that. Maybe it's the son and daughter, or daughter and son, coming to visit the father. Possibly the king. Certainly the king in the life of the family. Things were very patriarchal back in the day. Not so much now. Well, I suppose it depends on your orientation. Maybe for some people it is. Not for me. But you see that archway, and it denotes kind of a passage from one phase to another. And so I think that the unfolding awareness of Yira is felt with that, as is the idea of Kata Draconis. So whereas over here might have been the past, Caput is, or not Kata, but Caput Draconis. Here you have Kata on the other side, and then through the archway you have Caput Draconis, which is again new beginnings, or the future, dealing with the future, on the threshold of something new. So with having the pentacles arranged in the tree of life, you start up here, and then and right here is where you have the initial 3, and that would correspond to the Fool, the Magician, and the High Priestess. And then down below that is the leap into form, and all of the things that we have to go through and embody spiritually before we're done, basically. And then down here you have, the final manifestation. But I think what it's telling us is it's the transition through life. In terms of the Elder Futhark, it would be beginning at Fehu and ending at Othala. Some use Dagaz as the end, but most use Othala. But that it's that whole transition, all of the things that you learn. If you look at it from the standpoint of the major arcana, it begins with the Fool and ends, with the world, basically. Sometimes it's called sometimes it's called other things in non-traditional decks, but you end with the 21st card, and so it's all that transition, and so you see that, I think, in this card. So what are we really looking at then? We're looking at maybe the older man who's coming to terms with his own mortality, if you will, and he's handing off the reins of control in the family, that whole patriarch in the family, to these two possibly. That's happening in England here before too much longer, where the Queen will either will step down, and it looks like Charles and Camilla will be he'll be the king and she'll be the queen consort, I guess is what they've said. So that's an example in present day that we're looking at, that transition of power, basically. Or the transformation or the transition of legacy here goes from the older man to the younger people. And you see that evidenced by the archway. And with the 10, that reduces to 1. And again, we talked about this last time, where you have an X for the Roman numeral 10, and if you terminate the ends, you've got Dagaz. So again, the end of one period and the beginning of another is really implied, I think, in this particular card. But it's that transition into new beginnings, I think, having to do with, everything about our physical life. Now, we could have possibly put this one at the end, but I don't think we have to. We had this card not too long ago, the Seven of Pentacles, where a farmer is standing there leaning on his hoe or his rake or whatever. You can't really tell from the picture what it is, but it's likely a hoe. But he's looking at the harvest that's come in, and he's contemplating the future. 7 is about balance, but it's also about observation and spirituality. So where is the future going? And I think that aligns well with Caput Draconis, in that he seems to be well prepared for the future. Now, if you want to look at this, from a financial nature, then whatever you're embarking upon will likely be lucrative. Or if we're looking at it in terms of spirituality, manifested from higher self into form, how are we transacting our lives, basically? Are we doing it from the standpoint of ego? Are we doing it from the standpoint of spirit? And there's a cyclical nature to things. I think that the 10 of Pentacles also aligns well with Yira, because there's a sense of a cyclical experience with that. Where if you're looking at it in terms of the garden, because it's also a gardening rune, then you're looking at the growth, which mine's growing, but we're like 3 weeks behind according to the extension service for the state. We just saw it in a deal where it's like, yeah, we're about 3 weeks behind, give or take, wherever you are, and that certainly over here we're that far behind. I don't know. It's going to be a weird year. I'm harvesting peas. I should have already done that. So, my garlic was small when I harvested. I don't know. Maybe it was going to be. I think it was a smaller variety. But again, you see that whole cyclical nature of growth, in your garden, where you plant things, you watch them come to fruition, you pick them, and then they die off, right? It's that whole cyclical nature of life. As it unfolds, and that's why we look at Yira that way, as a gardening rune. The whole idea of the unfolding nature of the garden, basically, and the cyclical nature of it. But then when we also look at the 10, we're bringing in legacy, and what are we going to leave behind for our loved ones when we're no longer here? And it doesn't necessarily have to be money. It can be the wisdom that you leave behind. And I think that, when I look at the man here in the picture, the older man, I think wisdom more than, that's the true abundance, is the wisdom that you leave and the time you spend with people, the time you give them. You may not be a wealthy person, but you can certainly give your children and your grandchildren and your spouse the time that you can never get back. That's so valuable. And again, if you look at this, inherent in this is the time spent growing all of this stuff and preparing for the future. So maybe he is the man in this picture, and the younger man here, maybe this is him, although the hair color is different. But still, you could argue that this person is taking stock of what they have and what they have going forward. And I think that gaining that unfolding awareness, basically, of Yura, that he can then apply to the future with Caput Draconis. Overall, the numerology here is 8. So material recognition and approval, leadership, harmony, but greater harmony, a greater level of harmony where you can provide for other people. And I think that, you see that here with the man, the older man there. And I think that you see that here. And I think that with the page, you have the undeveloped potential for that, of what you can offer others. Are you going to be able to offer others things that are going to stay with them? The type of wealth that stays with them. And by that, really, it's not the money per se, because the money can go away in no time, right? It can all get spent, and then there's no money left, right? But it's the message you leave behind. It's the wisdom. It's the time you spend with others. I keep coming back to that because I think that that's probably the most valuable thing you can do, is spending that time with the people you love and offering to them what, all of the things you've learned over your lifetime. There's a sense of that here. Again, of being on the threshold of something new, going through that archway into something new, which aligns very well with Caput Draconis, being on the threshold of something new unfolding for the future. But again, I think implied is the above side of things, as the spiritual side of things. The money's only going to take you so far, and it might be nice to have, but if at the end of the day, the spirituality is missing, that relationship with that you have with who you are in the broader scheme of things. Understanding that everyone else is the other side of self versus the other. It's a very different mindset depending on how you see that. When you see everyone else as the other side of self, then you understand the wholeness of creation, basically, and you understand the wholeness of experience. And then you can stand back and you can watch all of that unfold with Yura. So an interesting way to end the week. Thinking about how what kind of legacy are we going to leave behind? And not just at the end, but how do we express that during the course of our lives? What kind of legacy do we leave with others? What kind of gift do we offer them? Because I every time I see a page holding up, or a knight holding up a coin like this, it's like they're offering something. The Knight of Pentacles shows the knight on the horse, kind of up above. What is implied is there's an area there, like a farming area or maybe a village or what have you. He's standing up there and he's offering some material security, or security for the material side of their lives, and he's holding that coin up, and it's like he's doing it, and it's not. I don't look at it so much as he's looking at the coin, but I look at it as a form of offering to other people. So what are you going to offer people? Are you going to offer some kind of legacy that's meaningful and comes from higher awareness? Or Is the legacy you leave behind something that's all about you and not so much about other people? Again, with the rune Tiwaz today from the esoteric influences, you're looking at the spiritual warrior within. And I see that probably sort of moving throughout the cards here, the whole idea of the spiritual warrior within to take on responsibility and to take on the idealistic aspects of things and to have all that come from spirit instead of from ego and have it be only about the self. It's really about how you can influence others to be better, to raise them up, to help them achieve more. Just even giving an older person giving a younger person some advice based on what they know, for the younger person to be willing to hear all of that and not feel like the older person's trying to tell them what to do. In fact, they're just saying, look, this was my experience, and being able to see that for what it is and the gift that it is, that someone's willing to offer that. And when I see the Ten of Pentacles with the Tree of Life, the coins arranged in the Tree of Life, it sort of brings that to mind for me, that there's a gift involved in who you are to other people, and the kind of what you leave for them. Are you, if you go visit someone, are they really, really glad to see you go? Or are they like, oh, do you have to go? It's that kind of experience, to bring that kind of love and devotion and support to other people. Because then when all is said and done and everything comes to rest with the 7, you can see what you've got and what you've got to move forward with. And if this is coming from, this is part of the legacy of, say, like your father or your grandfather has left for you, the wisdom that they've left for you, or your mother, because this doesn't have to necessarily represent an old man. I mean, it does, but it doesn't have to. Just the older person in your life, the patriarch or matriarch of the family, if you will. This might be the harvest that he's done, that he's grown and harvested, but it could also be what was left for him and all that he's learned from this individual here. And again, it doesn't have to be a man, it could be a woman. So I try to look at both sides of the equation with the tarot, because I think it makes more sense to do that. So anyway. So something to think about going forward. What do you have to offer others that's significant and loving and can make their lives better, and to watch it all come full circle, to watch the cycles unfold, to see children grow up and to see who they're going to become, and what you can do to help support them and make them feel like they're special in your life. And then in the final analysis, when you are that person who had that older person looking out for you, what do you, when you stand and you look at it all and you see the value of it all, it's you realize that it wasn't mom or dad trying to tell you how to live. It was just mom and dad trying to impart some wisdom before they're gone, just so you'll have a little bit of that to think about when, in times where you have to make decisions on your own. So it's almost like with the Page of Pentacles, it sets the tone of an offering. And how do you receive that offering? Do you understand the wisdom behind it, or do you are you resistive to that? So, but I like the idea that there's nothing final here. The idea of Yira is unfolding awareness. So it's a continuous process. And if we remember that, then we're always remaining open for that to happen, to offer it to others and to receive it into our lives. So, because there's an element of both projective and receptive presence here, with this one being the projective and this one being the receptive. So being open to offering higher awareness to others, and or modeling higher awareness to others, and then being able to receive that, as the loving gift that it is. Things to think about for the weekend. Next week we're in triple digits. I don't know. One day it's going to be 105. One day it's going to be 106. It's like, oh my God. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm staying in the house is what I'm going to do. So anyway, if that's you guys, I know a lot of places are dealing with that right now. Texas, I guess, is enormously hot, and they're having power issues and all of that. I think we talked about that the other day. Man, I feel for you. I really do. It's awful when that happens. And it seems to happen more and more these days. So I've looked at a map where places like India, even in the UK, the streets are melting. It's so hot. The asphalt's melting. Well, I mean, we have that all the time where we are. But if you're not accustomed to it, it's really shocking to see that, And here, the roads get sticky in the summertime when it's triple digits. It's just because it's always that way here for a period of time anyway. But some summers it's even worse than others. So, but stay cool, stay hydrated, and take care of yourselves and other people. This can be a difficult time, and when the weather gets this hot. So, anyhow, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming by, and have a good weekend, and be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.